Hello everybody, welcome to the Ultimate Scouting Show. Thank you guys for joining me. Today we have our NFL 2023 mock draft here. This is the second version of it. So let's go ahead and hop right into this thing. One thing to note is that this is the current draft order after the Week 9 Sunday slate. This doesn't include the Monday game, but it is the current draft order. And then this is what I think the teams will do, not necessarily what I would do. So that's something to note as well. Let's hop right into this thing. At pick number 1, the Houston Texans are on the clock. We have them taking Bryce Young, the quarterback out of Alabama. They desperately need a quarterback at this point, and Bryce Young is the best one available in my opinion. He has the it factor. There is the size concerns, but I definitely think that you can overlook that because of all of the things that he really possesses. He has natural accuracy, good mobility, he's a great leader, and he has shown that he can be really clutch in big moments, which I think is really important. I think that this is a great pick for the Houston Texans, number 1 overall. At number 2, we have the Carolina Panthers on the clock. We have them selecting C.J. Stroud, the quarterback out of Ohio State. Stroud is a little bit more of your prototypical build of a quarterback when compared to Bryce Young. He's a little bit taller. He probably has a better arm as well. He's got some nice natural accuracy. His biggest issue is making plays out of structure. He needs to continue to improve that. I think that he has some really nice tools that you can develop well, and Carolina needs a franchise quarterback to build around at this point. So a good pick there, in my opinion, as well for the Carolina Panthers, picking up C.J. Stroud, their quarterback of the future. At number 3, we have the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock. We have them selecting Will Anderson, the defensive end edge rusher out of Alabama. Will Anderson is my number 1 player in the draft right now. I think he is so naturally talented. He's definitely on the level of Myles Garrett, of Chase Young, some of those top prospects at that edge rusher position. He's definitely up there. He brings a lot of natural power, bend. He's just got all the tools that you really look for in an elite number 1 edge rusher. The Raiders aren't probably going to be picking a quarterback with these top 2 off the board, and so I think you take the best player available, pair him up with Max Crosby. That could be a great front 7. At number 4, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. I have them selecting Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle out of Georgia. I think that with Cam Hayward kind of slowing down a little bit, Stephon Tuitt retiring, you've just lost a little bit in that interior defensive line. You obviously have Watt and Highsmith, and Hayward's still a good player. Put in Jalen Carter, and that front 7 becomes absolutely awesome. Of course, you'd love to add a corner, maybe another receiver, some offensive linemen, but I think that Jalen Carter is just too good a value to pass up. It's a position of need as well. This is a good pick for the Steelers. At number 5, we have the Detroit Lions on the clock. I have them selecting Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky. Levis has had some serious ups and downs this season. He's definitely put the ball in harm's way a little bit more than I think he would have hoped to. But the natural talent of Will Levis and the traits that he is going to bring to the NFL is absolutely undeniably good. I think that there's certainly stuff that you can have to clean up, and there's certainly things to be a little bit nervous about when selecting Will Levis this high, but I do think an NFL team is going to fall in love with him. The Detroit Lions absolutely need a new start. Obviously, they'd love to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, but Will Levis at least gives you the upside to build a really high-powered offense with Jameson Williams, DeAndre Swift, and a really good offensive line there. At number 6, we have the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. I have them selecting Myles Murphy, the edge rusher out of Clemson. Murphy has a lot of the tools that you look for to be an elite number 1 edge rusher. He has a really good ability in the run game to set the edge, and then he has a nice arsenal of pass rush moves that he can use to get after the quarterback as well. The Cardinals really need some edge rusher help. They don't have much in that front 7, and I think that this is a great addition to that defensive line. At number 7, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. I have them taking Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle out of Penn State. Fashanu is one of the youngest prospects in this draft cycle. He has so much natural talent, really good athleticism. There's obviously some things that he needs to continue to develop further and continue to grow, but he has so many natural tools, and dominating at such a young age is definitely something that NFL teams look for. I think that Fashanu has the ability to be a number 1 offensive tackle, and I think that the Jaguars really need that. Cam Robinson's been okay, but you need to continue to build around Trevor Lawrence. You have some wide receivers now with Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. Give him a franchise-level left tackle here. At number 8, we have the Chicago Bears on the clock. I have them selecting Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU. The Bears brought in Chase Claypool. They have Darnell Mooney. Adding a third wide receiver to that trio would really give Justin Fields the best chance possible to succeed. I think Quentin Johnston has number 1 wide receiver upside. He's 6'4", he has great speed, he can win contested catches, he just has all the tools that you look for to be a complete Alpha X receiver, and that's certainly something that the Bears could use in this offense. At number 9, we have the Green Bay Packers on the clock. Obviously not the season that they wanted to have. I have them selecting Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern. Skoronski won't blow you away with his measurables. He's not the most athletically gifted, but he is an absolute monster when it comes to technique and just being in the right place at the right time. He is so good at that. And I do think that the Packers will look for some stability on that offensive line. Bakhtiari has not been able to stay healthy. Elton Jenkins' best position seems to be at guard. So just adding another talented offensive lineman into the mix, whether Rodgers comes back or not, you need to protect that quarterback back there and give him as many opportunities to be successful as possible. At number 10, we have the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock via the New Orleans Saints. I have them selecting Bryan Bresee, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Bresee is an absolute monster when it comes to his athleticism. He was the number 1 overall prospect in his recruiting class. It has taken him a little bit of time because of injuries and just development to get to that point, but he has been an awesome player. You could pair him with Jordan Davis, and I think that you continue to rotate Jordan Hargrave. Maybe you bring Fletcher Cox back, but I really think that this defensive front could be absolutely awesome with Bryan Bresee on there. You add a really good player to that defensive front. At number 11, we have the Seattle Seahawks on the clock via the Denver Broncos. I have them selecting Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. This is a very Seahawks pick. Wilson isn't necessarily the most refined player. He needs to continue to upgrade his pass rush arsenal, but he is really long, he's really athletic, and he's good against the run. He reminds me a lot of a worse version of Trayvon Walker, and I think that the Seahawks could really fall in love with someone like that. They love athletic freaks and just people that are ridiculously sized, ridiculous athleticism, whatever it is. And Tyree Wilson fits that mold very well. They need edge rusher help as well. Tyree Wilson makes perfect sense to me to select for the Seattle Seahawks here. At number 12, we have the Detroit Lions on the clock. We had them getting their quarterback of the future with Will Levis earlier. This pick is from the LA Rams. I have them selecting Kelee Ringo, the corner out of Georgia. Ringo had a really nice interception against Tennessee this week. He has shown really good ball tracking skills. He's a great athletic player. Definitely a corner with some serious upside, and the Lions could certainly use that, pairing him with Okudah and really strengthening this defense. At number 13, we have the Houston Texans on the clock. This is from the Cleveland Browns. I have them selecting Jordan Addison, the wide receiver out of USC. Addison gives Bryce Young a great new target there, and I think that he's someone that can really separate well. You already have Nico Collins. Maybe Brandon Cooks stays on the team this year, and so that gives you a nice wide receiver core for Bryce Young to come into. You already have some pieces on the offensive line. Just give him the best infrastructure possible to really be successful in Houston. At number 14, we have the Indianapolis Colts on the clock. I have them selecting Hendon Hooker, the quarterback out of Tennessee. Hooker is an older prospect. He will be 25 when he is drafted, which could put some teams off, but I really think that the Colts want to draft a quarterback this year. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them move up in this draft, but we're not doing trades here. I'm going to have them selecting Hooker. He has shown some really nice mobility, ball placement, has a good arm. I think that he's a good decision maker as well. He is a little bit more of a high floor prospect than a high ceiling prospect to me, but I really think that the Colts just need some stability at quarterback. Hooker could provide that and be a franchise level quarterback, which they've been missing for many years. At number 15, we have the Atlanta Falcons on the clock. I have them selecting Trenton Simpson, the linebacker out of Clemson. Simpson can kind of go anywhere. He has almost a hybrid safety linebacker role at Clemson. He certainly can be effective in the run game as well. He's just a complete linebacker that gives you tons of versatility. I think that the Falcons would really value that. Their front seven isn't very awesome. There's not really a ton of edge rushers that I absolutely love for them here. I think Trenton Simpson just gives you so many options defensively, and their linebacker core has not been very good this year. I think Simpson just makes a ton of sense for them. At number 16, we have the Washington Commanders on the clock. I have them selecting Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback out of Penn State. Joey Porter is a long, athletic, press man type corner, which is exactly the scheme that the Commanders run currently. Obviously, a change in the coaching staff could change that philosophy, but I really think that right now that fits the mold of what the Commanders want to do, and I think Joey Porter has had a great season. For whatever reason, opponents keep testing him, and Joey Porter continues to come through. He has been a great corner this season. So definitely a good pick for the Commanders there. If you reached this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Give this video a like. It helps me out so much. I would really appreciate it. So thank you so much. Let's get back to the video. At number 17, we have the New England Patriots on the clock. I have them taking Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle out of Georgia. Jones has had a really nice season in his first full year as a starter, and I think that the Patriots really need offensive tackle help. Isaiah Wynn is probably gone after this year. He's a free agent, and they're probably not going to be willing to pay him because of the injuries. Trent Brown's getting older as well. You need to invest in this offensive line. Give Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, whoever it is, a good chance to really have a chance in the passing game and be able to run the ball. Broderick Jones gives you that, definitely, and gives you a franchise-level left tackle. At number 18, we have the Cincinnati Bengals on the clock. I have them selecting Paris Johnson Jr., the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Paris Johnson has moved to left tackle this year and has been really good at it. It's obviously his natural position. He's definitely someone that can play out in space. He has the foot speed and the athleticism to be really good in space, and I think that Paris Johnson has a nice mean streak to him as well. For the Bengals, Jonah Williams hasn't been very good this year, and you got to have some kind of building block for Joe Burrow. Get yourself a franchise-level left tackle. Hopefully that's Paris Johnson here. I think that he has all the natural talent in the world to be a very good player in this league. At number 19, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock. I have them selecting Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Smith's season, unfortunately, did just end due to injury, but I think he has shown some really nice things. He was the #1 overall recruit in his class as well. Definitely an athletic freak, and someone that has shown some nice flashes. He doesn't necessarily have the most advanced pass rush arsenal, but that's also just kind of what Georgia does. As we saw with Trayvon Walker last year, they don't ask their edge rushers to just straight up rush very often. Nolan Smith has been good in the run game. Certainly for his size, he's been awesome. And I think the Buccaneers need some additional help in that front seven. Obviously, Shaq Barrett, coming off of an injury, may not be the same player. Joe Tryon has had some upside, but you need to upgrade that front seven, get some more pass rush in there. I think Nolan Smith could provide that. At number 20, we have the Denver Broncos. This was originally the 49ers pick, then it became the Dolphins pick, now it's the Broncos pick. So they're on the clock here in the first round for the first time in our mock drafts. I have them selecting Cam Smith, the corner out of South Carolina. I think Patrick Surtain has been awesome. He's a top 5 corner in the NFL this season. He's been great, but with Ronald Darby's injury, Damari Mathis has had some nice plays, but Cam Smith just gives you that really great physical corner that you can build around. He would be a great number 2 to Patrick Surtain, would really strengthen one of the few holes in this defense. And I think that with not a whole lot of offensive talent here, a lot of the offensive linemen went off the board, I am going to have the Denver Broncos taking Cam Smith, and they're going to pair him with Patrick Surtain and create a great #1, #2 corner duo there. At number 21, we have the LA Chargers on the clock. I have them selecting Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. I think that this could be a place that Smith-Njigba ends up. I could see him falling because of the injuries, and I don't think he's going to have elite testing numbers, but the Chargers really need help. Keenan Allen is getting older. He's had some injuries this year that he's really kind of derailed his season. And Smith-Njigba is just a great separator. He's a great route runner. He's not the most physically imposing. He's certainly not going to have the best 40 time, but he's just a really good player. Pair him with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Put him in the slot. I think he could be really successful. Number 22, we have the Baltimore Ravens on the clock. I have them selecting Clark Phillips III, the cornerback out of Utah. Clark Phillips is a really fun player to watch. He doesn't necessarily have all the physical gifts that you look for in a corner. He's a little bit shorter, but he is so physical, he plays so well, he is just great intangibles and instincts, and those translate over to the NFL. He's going to be a very good player, in my opinion, and I think that the Baltimore Ravens could use someone to replace Marcus Peters, pair him with Marlon Humphrey, and Clark Phillips is a great player to do that with. Definitely fits that aggressive kind of culture of Baltimore. I think that that would be a good pick for the Baltimore Ravens. At number 23, we have the Tennessee Titans on the clock. I have them selecting O'Cyrus Torrence, the offensive lineman out of Florida. Torrence plays offensive guard for Florida, and I think that the Titans could certainly use a little bit more help on the offensive line there. Obviously, you've got Nate Davis, you've got Ben Jones, but you could certainly use another interior guy to really be successful, and I think that O'Cyrus Torrence would give you that. He's a very fun player, and it just fits the culture of what this Titans team wants to do. I think he's the best offensive lineman on the board, and allows you to run the ball really effectively still with Derrick Henry in there, which is the entire identity of this team right now. At number 24, we have the Seattle Seahawks back on the clock. As we mentioned, they always take athletic freaks, guys that are just kind of very unique. Noah Sewell, the linebacker out of Oregon, fits that mold very well. Pair him with Jordan Brooks. You've got some nice athleticism in that front seven with Tyree Wilson, Boye Mafe, a lot of those nice players that they have on that front seven that is continuing to develop. I think that Sewell just gives you a lot of options, a lot of versatility in the run game, in the pass game. He's just a complete linebacker, gives you a lot of different things there. So I could totally see the Seahawks taking a swing on him here. At number 25, this is the Dolphins pick that it was forfeited, so we will move on from that. At number 26, we have the New York Jets on the clock. I have them selecting Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the edge rusher out of Kansas State. He has had a very productive season in the Big 12 this year. He definitely has some nice speed to power. He's a more power rusher, but I think that this Jets team really wants to invest in the front seven. Obviously, you have some good players. You've got Jermaine Johnson. You've got Carl Lawson on that edge. Get someone like Felix Anudike-Uzomah who can come in, kind of spell them. That was the model in San Francisco as well. I think Robert Saleh will continue to carry that over into the Jets organization, and I think that this could be a great landing spot for Felix Anudike-Uzomah. At number 27, I have the Dallas Cowboys on the clock here, selecting Michael Mayer, the tight end out of Notre Dame. I know that this may not necessarily be the biggest need on the team, but Michael Mayer is a great player. It's just kind of hard to find him a team because tight ends just aren't valued that highly in the NFL draft. Michael Mayer is a great player. You pair him with Dalton Schultz or replace Dalton Schultz with him. I think that Mayer gives you everything as far as blocking, receiving. He's a great target over the middle. Just another player for Dak Prescott to throw to. You get him another weapon while also strengthening the run game and just continuing to build out through the middle. At number 28, we have the New York Giants on the clock. I have them selecting Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Hyatt has had an incredible run of games this past couple of weeks for Tennessee. He put up 5 touchdowns against Alabama. He's an absolute speed threat. They use him vertically a lot. You can use him on go routes, posts, comebacks, any of that deep vertical passing tree. I think that he can be really successful. The Giants need wide receiver help really badly. They need speed at wide receiver really badly. Hyatt provides all those things. He's also tall, which gives you nice potential ability to build out a contested catch profile as well. I think Hyatt is a very fun player that's going to shoot up draft boards this draft cycle here. At number 29, we have the Kansas City Chiefs on the clock. I have them selecting Isaiah Foskey, the edge rusher out of Notre Dame. Foskey provides some good ability in the run game. He also has some nice moves in the pass game. His arsenal is pretty good. I think he's a high floor player, someone that can come in and be successful for you. I think they need to continue to add to this edge rusher room. I know you drafted George Karlaftis, but Frank Clark isn't really a great player at this point in his career. Just continue to build out guys that can get after the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons, all the great quarterbacks in the AFC. Get someone that can rush, can stop the run. I think Foskey can be that player for them. At number 30, the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. I have them selecting Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon. Gonzalez is one of those players that isn't necessarily fully developed as a corner in this league, but he is an absolute athlete. He was a track star. He has good ball skills as well. I think that he has all of the things that you look for in a great lockdown number one corner. He just hasn't put it all together at this point. I think that the Vikings are going to bet on the upside with him in a corner room that they have some pieces with Cameron Dantzler and Patrick Peterson, but they could certainly stand to upgrade that room. I think Gonzalez could be a great player for that. At number 31, we have the Buffalo Bills on the clock. I have them selecting Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas. I think that they've been looking for this kind of player for a long time. Someone that can be really effective catching passes. He can run routes from the slot effectively, and he's a great dominant downhill runner. I know they invested a second-round pick in James Cook, but Bijan Robinson is a unique player. He's probably a top 15 player in this class, but it's just going to be hard for a team to justify taking a running back in the first round. But if anybody can, it's probably the Bills, who really don't have many other needs. At number 32, we have the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock. I have them selecting Antonio Johnson, the safety out of Texas A&M. He is a very versatile defender. He can play in the slot. He can play safety. I just think that continue to add versatility to this defense. Maybe replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson if he decides to leave, but I do think that this is just a great pick. Increase your depth, give you more versatility on that back end, and it could be a really, really fun pick for this Eagles defense. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I mentioned before, if you like this kind of content, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps me out so much, pushes it out to other NFL draft fans just like you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye.